Robert F. Kennedy Jr. just got a critical approval to be the head of the Department of Health and Human Services, and I'm going to tell you exactly how and why it happened. All right, so let's start here. Kennedy was up in front of the Senate Finance Committee, which oversees the initial vote on confirmation to be the HHS secretary. And Republicans are in the majority in the Senate, but they only have a one-seat majority on that committee, which meant that if any Republican voted against Kennedy's nomination, it would fail in the committee and almost certainly would not make it to a floor vote, meaning he would not get confirmed. All eyes were on a guy named Bill Cassidy. He's a Republican senator from Louisiana who is on the Senate Finance Committee and also chairs the Senate Health Committee. So he was involved in both of the Kennedy hearings, confirmation hearings last week. Kennedy had two. And Cassidy was seen as a real swing vote for a bunch of reasons. So the biggest one is that he's a medical doctor, one of the few in Congress, and he had repeatedly during the confirmation hearings asked Kennedy to back away from past statements made about vaccines or skepticism about vaccines. He told a story about a woman he treated who was dying of hepatitis B, which was easily preventable had she taken the vaccine. And Kennedy, he didn't totally do that. He didn't walk away from it. He sort of said, well, it's more nuanced and it's being painted and all those sorts of things, but he did not walk away from those views. So Cassidy was seen as a guy who could vote against him because he's a doctor, but also because he is someone who has not gone full MAGA. Cassidy, even though he does represent Louisiana, a very Republican state, Cassidy was one of 6 Republican senators who voted to impeach Donald Trump after January 6th. A little bit of a surprise, I think, for a lot of people, but that showed, I think, that, okay, well, this is someone who's not going to just toe the party line at all times. So those are the reasons that I think people had circled Cassidy as a critical vote. Well, Cassidy, when the vote happened, which was just after 10 a.m. Eastern time on Tuesday, Cassidy voted for RFK Jr. And on X/Twitter, he explained that vote this way. I've had very intense conversations with Bobby in the White House over the weekend and even this morning. I want to thank VP JD specifically for his honest counsel. With the serious commitments I've received from the administration and the opportunity to make progress on the issues we agree on, like healthy foods and a pro-American agenda, I will vote yes. Now, that's not really why Bill Cassidy voted yes, and I'm going to tell you why he did right now. Bill Cassidy, the other really important thing to know about him is he is up for re-election in November 2026. He is already facing the prospect of a serious primary challenge because of his vote to impeach Donald Trump right after January 6, 2021. And I think Cassidy, probably rightly, viewed this vote as signing his political obituary if he made it. If he voted against RFK Jr., and that would have effectively tanked RFK Jr.'s chances of being the HHS secretary, it would be another finger in the eye of Donald Trump, and it would virtually ensure that Donald Trump would endorse a primary challenge against Cassidy, and that person, given Donald Trump's power within the party, that person would probably wind up beating Cassidy in a primary. So Cassidy went with the politically smart vote. I do not think it was a principled vote. I think if he was voting solely on principle, he would have, based on what he has stated matters to him, he would have voted against RFK Jr. But I think he knew that if he did that, his political career was probably over, and he wanted to stay a little bit longer, potentially, in politics. Now, will that vote save him? I think the answer may be no, for a couple reasons. One, he's never going to escape the fact that he voted for the impeachment to convict Donald Trump. That's always going to be a thing. He is never going to be like a full MAGA guy. It's just not in his DNA. He's never really been that. I don't think he's going to transform into that in the next year. And there are a bunch of ambitious Republicans including John Fleming, who used to be in the House and is now in a state office in Louisiana, who are already circling Cassidy even before this vote, and they're going to be circling him even after this vote. So while I think Cassidy probably would have ensured that he lost if he voted against RFK Jr.'s confirmation, I'm not sure voting for RFK Jr.'s confirmation saves him for one other big reason. Um, there used to be in Louisiana something called a jungle primary, where all the candidates appeared on a ballot, a primary ballot, and the top vote getter for Republicans and the top vote getter for Democrats advanced to the general election. What that meant was that everyone was voting in one sort of glut, and you could win with 32% of the vote. You could advance to the general election. Well, Louisiana got rid of that jungle primary, and so now Cassidy is going to have to run against a single or a handful of Republican challengers where only Republican voters are voting. And I think that may wind up being the thing that ultimately dooms him. That it's the thing that I don't know that he can escape. Because if you're John Fleming or any other Republican who wants to run in a primary against Cassidy, you're just going to say, hey, look, Bill Cassidy's a Republican, but I think Donald Trump's great. I don't think he did anything wrong on January 6th. I certainly wouldn't have voted to impeach him. And yeah, Bill Cassidy did some good things. He voted for RFK Jr., but he's still not Trumpy enough. And I don't know that Bill Cassidy has a pushback to that, given that he voted for Trump's impeachment. I don't know that there's a way that he's going to sort of wash that mark off. And I don't think this RFK Jr. vote does it either. So I understand why he did it. Politics is why Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is now, I think, on the glide path to becoming the next Secretary of Health and Human Services. He has Bill Cassidy to thank for it. But I'm not sure that this decision by Cassidy saves him politically. It gives him a chance, right? It puts him in the arena. It gives him a chance to potentially win a primary, but man, I think it's an uphill climb. So that's how RFK Jr. won this vote, and I think how he winds up winning a vote on the full floor, and how he winds up being Health and Human Services Secretary. The lesson: it's always about politics. No matter what anyone tells you, it's always about election politics. Don't be fooled. Okay, as always, by the way, I'm in the San Antonio airport right now, but I'm always said, going to make a video every single day, no matter what. So here I am. You can do 4 things to help me. You can subscribe to this channel. You can like this video. You can comment on this video for the algorithm. And you can tell 10 of your friends about this video. I think that's about it. I'll be back in my home environs tomorrow. I was down here giving a speech. Lovely. So I'll be back tomorrow. Thanks, as always, for your support and for checking me out. Tell other people. Spread the word. All right.